Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are new around here and finding yourself on my channel for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button because we drop an update just like this one around 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space. But also the broader markets. That's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. We will be looking at the broader markets. Today you have the release of US CPI, which is key inflationary data that is somewhat guiding the Fed's footsteps. And remember, the Fed are the sole source pretty much of liquidity. I wouldn't say the sole source, but the main source of liquidity. We have speculated on the Fed stepping back into the bond market, which ultimately is going to pump liquidity across the board. We will touch on that slightly. To start the video off, though, however, I actually want to play you guys a clip from yesterday of Donald Trump talking about not just Bitcoin, but the crypto space more broadly and his acceptance of it, his view of it as an alternative currency. And towards the end, he says some really interesting things in regards to the vitalness for the United States to basically maintain the dollar as the standard, because right now, for his own admission, he sees lots of currencies moving away from it and potentially looking at crypto as an alternative. And that if that was to happen, it would be akin to the US losing a revolutionary war. And this is the great game. And you've got to ask yourself, all these people, BlackRock, Larry Fink, who's obviously BlackRock's CEO, Trump, all these people in banking, barring Jamie Dimon, really seem to be now warming up to Bitcoin. And why would they be doing that if Bitcoin really posed such a threat to their control and system? And this is the reason that I question Bitcoin's origins. I know people say Bitcoin can't be stopped, but it can certainly be hindered. And if it was any kind of a real threat, I'm sure it already would have been. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. We are going to be playing that clip. We'll be diving over to the Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to be showing you guys also CoinShares weekly report. CoinShares compile all the exchange-traded products that derive from the cryptocurrency space and basically publish a report weekly. We always look at it on a Monday. We're going to be looking at Monday's report. It's all the largest inflows for the crypto sector, really, period. And on top of that, this year alone, and we're only 2 months and 12 days into it, we saw more or just shy of the entire volume of 2021. Guys, this is going to be the biggest bull market in history. I hope you're all ready. I know I am, and I hope you're on board for this journey. Let's start things off with this clip of Donald Trump. Rather interesting, and then we're going to get into what's taking place today in regards to US CPI, which should already be out by the time this video is released, coming out at 12:30 UK time. Then we'll look at the Bitcoin chart, and then we're going to talk about CoinShares report. Let's dive into this clip of Trump.
Well, it's taken its own life. I do little things sometimes for fun and, make money with it, but I have fun with it too.
You mean
NFTs.
You bought Bitcoin?
No, but I sometimes will let people pay through Bitcoin, or will let people get involved in a new, if you think of it, it's an additional form of currency. And I used to say, I want one currency. I want the dollar. I don't want people leaving the dollar. And I feel that way. But I will tell you, it has taken on a life. I did a thing that people smile at, but it was wild. We did, so it just took off. And I noticed that so many of them were paid for with this, with the new currency.
With crypto.
And it is that. It's a new cryptocurrency. And I couldn't believe the amount. And I'm saying, this thing has really, and other things I do, people are using it. And, I would be, I'm very much a traditionalist. I like staying with the dollar. You know that from when I was there. It's make the dollar the choice. I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar, because when we lose that standard, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war. And we can't let that happen. And too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar. And and frankly, and I know Jay feels strongly about this, and Jay did a fantastic job, by the way, in a group where there's always scandal and problems. Jay went through 4 years. There wasn't one scandal. I don't know, Jay, maybe you can tell me, but there wasn't one scandal. That is the most scandalous position because it involves massive amounts of money. With Jay Clayton, we had no scandal, zero. nothing whatsoever. So I thought it was great. But I have seen there has been a lot of use of that, and I'm not sure that I'd want to take it away at this point.
So very interesting things, and perhaps insightful things mentioned there by who could become, and I actually think he has a good chance of becoming the next president. And it's very interesting because right now you've got a lot of pro-Bitcoin candidates. You know, I wouldn't say Trump is particularly pro-Bitcoin, but he's certainly accepting of it, and actually somebody who takes payments in it, that does things involving it. He stressed his kind of urgency for maintaining the dollar as the world reserve currency and not allowing countries to move off of it, because they are currently trying to do that. And I think that's interesting. You know, there's a real shift. Bitcoin's just as much a monetary shift as it is a social one. There's a kind of awakening that it's brought with it in regards to money and, you know, what it is and why it's important and all these things. And the US losing the world reserve currency, which gives them their power, really. And then if you look at who owns the Federal Reserve, it's a rabbit hole you can go down. Them losing that he likened it to losing a revolutionary war. And I do think it's of that importance for the United States. I think it's inevitable that the US dollar fails, given the proliferation. I think the Fed's going to step in. I think you're going to see more proliferation, not a reversion in it. And they're just going to kind of, you know, sweep it under the carpet like they do with everything and hope that people don't wake up. Well, Bitcoin has woken millions and potentially billions eventually up to this. So very interesting that he's flipped. Somebody I think actually stands a good chance of winning. That's just my own take. I'm not going to get into things politically. But very interesting indeed. You know, he's done a 180 on things, lots of pro-Bitcoin candidates. He talks about Jay Clayton, who was the former chair of the SEC before Gensler, and said there was no issues there. Now there's issues. Bit of a dig at Gensler. Let's talk about what's coming today in regards to US CPI. So US CPI is coming out at 12:30 UK time. I think it's something like 7:30 or 8 o'clock-ish in the US or Washington time. So you've got core CPI coming out today. It's expected to drop, which is a good sign. Then you've got CPIs that are very much expected to stay stagnant and where they were. It's interesting because the Fed, if you get a higher print, I don't think it's going to tilt their hat massively towards a change in the kind of monetary forecast. You might see the probability of rate cuts drop a little bit across the board, but I generally think they're where they want to be. They are going to lower rates, and actually, in actual fact, they're going to step into the bond market, the treasury market, in a short succession of time. And this is where I think the global liquidity cycle is taking us. I think it's very likely that they do that, and I think what's showing us that right now is the bond market. So a lot of people don't understand why we talk about bonds, why we talk about the broader markets when it comes to crypto. Well, it's because we are a part of them, whether we like it or not. There's this kind of food chain or ecosystem of markets, and levers get pulled, and one thing goes up, one thing goes down. Ultimately, the iShares, which is the 20-year dated Treasury bonds plus, is seeing some of the largest volume it's ever seen at a time where there's a bullish divergence. We expect this market to go up. We haven't been in the buy bonds where diamonds, ding dong, group class. You know, we've been very opposed to that. However, we are now bullish based on technically what we're seeing, based on the fact the reverse repo is going to get drained very shortly. It's went from 2.4 trillion down to 400 billion since they upped the debt ceiling, which was only last year. They're printing a hell of a lot of debt. They're lowering interest rates, are expected to do so, making the debt less appealing. I think yields are set to come down also. Who's going to be buying the bonds? Well, it's going to be the Fed, in my opinion. And they've already shown willingness to add to their balance sheet. This is going to pump liquidity into the broader markets. We ultimately are bearish on the dollar. That's going to be something that's going to factor into our dollar down theory. That's very much sort of playing out. We'll see what happens today. Expect volatility. You are at some sort of short-term support for the Dixie. I don't want to go down the time frames. And there's going to be volatility and spillover into the other markets. Gold doing exceptionally well, putting a new all-time high. And we are not only bullish on gold and general risk, we're bullish on stocks, and Bitcoin is in an uptrend, just like it is against the dollar, against both of these. In regards to the Bitcoin chart, you know where we're at, you know the plan. We've been following this beautifully. This is absolutely an uptrend. This is absolutely a bull market. Let that sink in, that you've seen more or just about the same volume, a whisker below the kind of inflows that you've seen into exchange traded products today that you saw in the first 2 months of a year, that you saw for the whole of 2021, which was our raging bull market. It's going to be the biggest bull market in history, guys. I hope you're all ready for that. Yeah, you are going to have a correction at some point. I'm not going to call it because there's lots of kind of structure that doesn't look great, but just continues. And this is the thing, just because you're grinding up here, which isn't a typically great pattern, there's every possibility that you just pop straight to the upside. You know, just because you're having a kind of grinding up structure. This is a bull market, understand it. You've done this plenty of times and gone up, and there's clear buyers coming in at each and every point that Bitcoin sells off. I think you're going to get volatility today, but whatever the CPI comes out, a lower print is going to be very bullish for risk. A higher print, I don't think it's going to make that much difference. Might just be a sideways period. The last little thing that I want to talk to you guys about is CoinShares report. So this is, they compile a report every single week in regards to the exchange traded derivatives around crypto. Whether that be spot or futures. And you can see this is Digital Asset Fund Flows weekly report. Weekly flows break records with $2.7 billion in inflows. You can see this is the graph of that. It's the biggest inflows ever. Digital asset investment products saw record weekly inflows totaling 7.2 trillion. Sorry, 2.7 trillion. Can you see how I jumbled the letters up there as a dyslexic? I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Bringing total inflows, inflow year to date to 10.3 billion, just shy of the record 10.6 billion inflows for the whole of 2021. So we are 300 million away from, and we're only 2 months and 12 days into the year away from the entire inflows that we saw in 2021. Bitcoin remains the focus of investors, seeing $2.6 billion with a year-to-date inflows now representing 14% of total AUM. Solana, having endured a bout of negative sentiment, saw $24 million in inflows last week, so it's the largest altcoin to benefit. But you've got the likes of Cardano, Polkadot, and XRP all doing quite well in regards to this. And you can see other altcoins included Phantom, Chainlink, and Uniswap. You are going to get an ETF. We think ETH BTC is signaling this. Guys, that's really all I've got for you in this video. Let me know your thoughts. I know Trump is a very polarizing character. We always get both sides in the comment section. People that are very angry that I've even mentioned him. Grow up. And people who are, you know, very supportive of him. And I'm going to reserve my own opinions on the individual because this is not a political channel. But I thought what he said as somebody who could potentially become the next president again were very interesting. And I think what he said about the dollar was even more interesting. And we've also looked at a number of things. So it's going to be an interesting day from a CPI point of view. We'll see what happens. Don't bet on downside in a bull market. Don't be short in a long market. Don't be empty in a market that's going up. You know, this is quite easy. And this is what we teach in the Patreon, which we will be opening up, guys. Lots of messages. I've had over something like 70 messages in regards to the Patreon. We will be opening it back up. We just don't want to grow too fast, and we want to provide and nurture the members that we've got. You know, you're going to make money in this market just by holding and not doing anything fancy. And don't be too smart. That's the best advice I can give people when it comes to the market. Don't be too smart. Don't think you're smarter than everybody else. Just get on the right side of the trend, ride it, make money off of it, and you'll do very well. Guys, that's all I've got for you. I hope you all have a triumphant Tuesday. If you've enjoyed the content, like it, always appreciated. So as a comment, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next.